back to the Money Script Podcast. It's your host, Yohance Harrison. So happy to be with each and every one of you today. It has been an exciting week. We are just wrapping up, winter. We just got out of winter. It's finally spring. So happy spring to everyone out there. Well, of course, depending on when you're listening to this, it might be winter by the time you're hearing this. I want to give a shout out to whomever our binge listeners are. We had a few of you last week. I just started getting alerts like crazy. I appreciate you binging through all of our episodes, going all the way back. Man, 3 seasons. Thank you. We appreciate you. I hope you learned something. I hope you're applying some financial literacy to your financial situation and handling your money and your money script a little bit better. Speaking of money scripts, I am the CEO and financial advisor for Money Script Wealth Management, where I help people make better financial decisions with their money. Really, it's all about understanding what your values are, understanding your goals, and getting your financial behaviors in alignment. So that's what we're here to talk about. I like to bring a fun guest every chance that I get. Have a fun guest for you today. For those of you on YouTube, you probably already checked out his name there in the bottom third of our screen. We're going to get to that. First, we have to talk about current events because there's always a current event. And the current event today is none other than President Donald Trump. He has officially been indicted. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, wait, usually your headline has something to do with money. But guess what? This has everything to do with money because he's being indicted. His first indictment is about some hush money payments that he gave to, apparently he gave it to his attorney, and his attorney gave it to a young lady by the name of Stormy Daniels. I wonder, is that her real name? Maybe that is a real name. But her mama couldn't have said, we're going to name you Stormy. But then again, hey, nothing wrong with your name being Stormy. If your mama named you Stormy, that's your name. Stormy's your name. But the point is, he has been indicted for doing some funky things with his money. So let this be a message to all of you. If Donald Trump can't get away with it, it doesn't mean that you can. This is one of the richest, one of the most powerful, one of the most recognizable people on the planet. I used to think he could just pay anybody off if he wanted to, but I guess that's only in the movies because it didn't happen this time. So with that, being that it is also the last few weeks of tax season, except for our friends out in California, got a little extra time. Being that we're wrapping up tax season, just be honest, be straight up. If you got to pay taxes, pay the taxes. Don't do anything that could come back to bite you a little bit later. So with that, I want to get to our guest. This is my good friend and colleague and what is it called when you go to school together? Classmate. This is my classmate at Morehouse College. We met a couple of years ago, and we've been promising to get on the show together. Mr. Shawn Knight. He has been a mainstay on the air. He has one of those radio voices. You'll hear it here shortly. He currently hosts the Magic Morning Show with Knight Norwood on KHAJ Majic 107.7 in Topeka, Kansas. He also contributes to a whole bunch of shows. He sent me a long list of all the things he does. I'm going to skip down to the last one because he is also a podcast host for the Shawn Knight Show podcast. So, Shawn, my brother, welcome to the Money Script Podcast. How you doing?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I was here. Where were you when you got the alert yesterday that the former president had been indicted?
Man, phone was just going off because, of course, I have to break this story first thing in the morning. And first I said, wow, he's not Teflon after all. So
what happened to Teflon Don? He was supposed to be Teflon Don.
And I said, let me just get the facts first. So he's supposed to turn himself in by Tuesday. And do I really think that he's going to turn himself in? That is like the $1 million question right now, because it's going to be a sad day when you see a former president get indicted. And everybody on social media, they're just waiting on one thing, and that's the mugshot. They want the mugshot.
Oh, yeah.
And I was watching actually Fox News. I was flipping back and forth, and someone said on Fox that he will be considered an OG now, and he has street cred because of this situation. And my mouth just dropped because it is, first of all, it's embarrassing that a former president is getting indicted, but now you want to make light of the situation by giving him street cred because now he's getting ready to go to jail. That was just what's really going on here. It's nothing to play with. It's very unfortunate. And as you know, we're going to be heading into an electoral season once again. So I really want to see how this play out. and see if he's going to get this swept under the rug, and if he makes a run for the White House, and if he can actually get the White House back after this. This is going to be something unprecedented already. And just to see how this play out, we'll just have to tune in to the shocking conclusion, if you will.
We will have to tune in to the shocking conclusion because it's going to be a nail biter.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and just I just like to think about the movies that will be written about this a decade from now.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah,
that's I mean,
definitely.
there's gonna be a whole it's gonna be incredible.
It's coming. Oh, best believe it is coming.
Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is. So, tell me a little bit, sir. There's a question we like to ask all of our guests that come onto the
Okay.
show, and of course, I'm going to ask you the question. And the question is, what is your first memory of money?
My first memory of money, I was in sixth or seventh grade. My grandfather, he worked at the DuSable Museum in Chicago, and I would tag along with him over the summer. I would go and hang out with him for the entire day, and I would help him do things around the museum. You know, he would go ahead and work and do little things around there, and that's how I got my first taste of money. By coming home with him, he would pull out his money and say, "All right, you work with me X amount of days. Like, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars." Now, mind you, back in the day, growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, you get $20, you're good.
Yeah, you
You're
balling. That'd take you all week, man.
absolutely. And also, as a kid growing up, we had a big house in Chicago. And guess who was cutting the grass? My grandfather would
Mm,
start cutting the grass, and then I would come out and I would be up under him, helping him mow the lawn. And then next thing you know, I would help him do halfway, and he would just let it go. And next thing you know, I'm cutting the grass. And every time I would ask for movie money, he would always just give it to me just because of me doing my things around the house. So my grandfather deal, he was the one that showed me the value of a dollar. He was the one that taught me about money and responsibility.
beautiful. Now, how do you think those early encounters with money affect your relationship with money today?
Oh, it helped me out a lot because once you learn the value of a dollar, you get to respect the value of a dollar. When you get money, I now learn how to budget. I know what it's like to spend all of your money. I know what it's like to save money. I know what it's like to have money for a rainy day. I know what it's like to just save up money for a specific thing that you want to do, whether it's to go out of town or if you want to buy a certain thing. Learning how to handle money at a young age definitely prepared me for how I handle money today. And I am thankful for those lessons because, as you can see, the value of a dollar changes on the regular. So, if it wasn't for those early lessons, there's no telling where I would be financially, even though I would love to be in a better position financially. But it was just those lessons that got me in a better position for where I can respect money and learn how to value money.
Beautiful. Now, you heard Brother Knight say something that we've talked a lot about on this show over the past, I'd say, few months, maybe 6 or 8 months. And he said the value of a dollar changes. And let's just dive into that a bit because a dollar is a dollar. I mean, if you look at a dollar, it says one, or you look at a $5 bill, it says five, a $10 bill says 10, so forth and so on. But what does he mean when he says the value of a dollar changes? What he's saying is that what the dollar can buy is what's actually changing. So what that dollar is really worth in goods and services changes over time. So we are of a certain age where we remember when you could go to the dollar movie on a Tuesday.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. The good old days. I remember
Good
when
old
you
days.
could actually buy penny candy and it would
Oh
actually
yeah.
be a penny. You know, we should do a podcast
The
on,
Brock, oh yeah, the Brock's, the big what they had the
yes,
Brock's candies.
yes,
You
the
get the
Bronx candy.
caramel or the
Oh,
you,
can you
man,
imagine
you fill up a bag and walk out of there, spending 50
$1
cents.
penny
Yeah.
candy? You know how
Hmm.
much hey, you would be the man in school because everybody
Oh
was
yeah.
the candy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So as you've probably noticed, your dollar, even in 2023, isn't going as far as it would in 2020. And a lot of this has been reported, and it actually didn't have to be reported. You felt it. The price of
Mhm.
eggs, the price of gas, the price
Yes.
of bread, the price of fruits and vegetables. We've all seen those costs of those things go up but the dollar's still the dollar. Okay. So one of the reasons why it's important to make sure you become more financially literate, that you understand these things so that you can understand again the value of the dollar and why you should value saving as many of your dollars as you can, and also learning how to invest those dollars, because ultimately you want to make sure that your money works as hard as you do.
Right.
Okay. All of us, we work hard for our money, but is your money working as hard as you are? And speaking of money working hard, I left out, I know Trump kind of stole the headline today, but we got to back up because there's a bigger headline since we last spoke. A couple of weeks ago, we had one of the largest bank failures in United States history.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And we're talking about Silicon Valley Bank. And then there was another one right on the heels of it, Signature Bank. Okay. So we had two banks go out of business back to back. I was texting some of my other financial friends, like, wait, did we just wake up in 2008? For those of you that remember 2008, we had Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, Washington Mutual. What was the other one? Wachovia. Was it Wachovia? Yeah, Wachovia. For those that are on the East Coast, you may remember Wachovia. There was another big one that went under too, whose name Countrywide, which was a lending institution, not necessarily a bank. But we had massive failures. You had Merrill Lynch get swept up by Bank of America. You had, who
Yes.
did Smith Barney take over? Solomon? I don't know. There was lots of mergers and acquisition because there were banks that were failing at that time as well. And so here in 2023, the cameras were showing people standing outside the bank in line waiting to take their money out, which also made me scratch my head. I was like, can't you just do that online? Why are you at the bank?
Well, if you know that Big Mama and Papa, they are traditional when it comes to
The
the bank.
traditionalists, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I got to go down to the bank and
so
trade in my roll of quarters.
it's not like you and I could actually say, oh, you know what? Let me just go ahead and pull this money and pull it over to another account. When you have individuals like my dad still goes to the bank. So he's not financial savvy as far as being online and using the apps and everything of that nature. So when you think about our elders that are going up to the bank and pulling out their life savings and everything, that has to be very frightening to know that your money could be gone.
But let's talk about, could it be gone? Because we have this wonderful institution in these United States known as FDIC insurance, Federal Depositors Insurance Commission, and they will actually insure deposits up to 250,000. Now there are some other rules with the name that's on the account and the type of account that you
Right.
have, and things of that nature. And if you want to look it up, go to FDIC.gov. You can learn all the rules. But if you had less than $250,000 in the bank, the government says you're good. As a matter of fact, the government stepped in with Signature Valley Bank and said, we're going to cover everybody, even if you had more than $250,000. Now, I will put out a disclosure there. If you have more than $250,000 in a bank account,
Yeah.
consider your options for spreading that out. Okay.
All
I
right.
can't guarantee you that the government's going to come and take care of you. But if you have less than 250,000, do you need to worry about the bank not having your money? No,
No,
because the FDIC, if your bank is failing, the FDIC is going to step in and they're going to back those deposits for the people that have $250,000 or less. Okay. Now, what we all wish is that if a bank went out of business, they just wipe out your loan. But apparently it doesn't happen that way. There's someone waiting to buy that loan. There's someone waiting. They're like, no, I'll buy that loan. You can keep paying me that interest. So don't get your hopes up on that. If you had a loan from Signature Valley Bank or Signature Bank, keep making the payments, because that payment's. As a matter of fact, SVB just this week got bought by First Citizens. So First Citizens Bank out of North Carolina, they came in and swooped up all the assets of SVB Bank. And so if you had a SVB debit card, look for a First Citizens debit card coming in the mail soon. But let's talk about what does that all mean when it comes to just making better financial decisions. It's about understanding how your banking system works, and just understand that the banks are responsible for most of the financial failures that we've had in United States history. It's always the banks, in my opinion. But right now in our banking system, the reason that SVB had the problems they had was because the government, the Federal Reserve, started raising interest rates. And when they raised those interest rates, it caused the price of bonds to fall. Now, we're not going to get too deep into some macroeconomics, but just understand that that could be a bad thing if you have a lot of long-term bonds sitting on your balance sheet and all of a sudden the value of those bonds go down. So that's basically what happened to SVB. Yeah, they were doing some fancy lending in some areas, but that's what banks do. It was just they had a large portfolio that they had to take a loss on, and some of the people that bank with them and invest with them didn't like that, and they decided to start pulling their assets, selling their stock because they felt that the bank wasn't going to be solvent. Actually, technically on paper, from some reports, they weren't solvent, but they somehow still managed to be in business for quite some time. But I bring that to your attention because if any of you as listeners or my viewers here on YouTube, if you have substantial amounts of money in the bank, and I'm not talking about 250,000, but if you have just 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20,000, $1,000 in a bank, find out how much interest your bank is paying you. Okay. By the way, let's talk to you, Shawn. Do you know how much interest your bank pays you on your savings account?
That I don't, and I really need to check that out, because once I moved to Topeka, I have a checking account with Chase, and I also have another account with my credit union in Texas. So now that things are starting to turn around for me on a financial standpoint, while I'm getting my finances back in order, yeah, it's time to start to reevaluate those accounts and see what I can get, or the benefits of having that savings account or that checking account, to see if it's going to add more value to me or if it's going to hurt me down the line. That's why I'm glad that we're having this conversation right now, so you can put me up on game.
So that's number one. You said it. Is your bank account providing value to you, or are they taking something from you? I'm of the belief now there is no reason to pay a bank fee just to have an account open. So if you have a bank account, I'm going to call you out, Wells Fargo. I come across clients all the time, got a savings account paying no interest, but paying $5 a month to have a savings account. For what?
Exactly.
If your bank account is charging you a monthly fee, I want you to hit the pause button right now. Actually, just hit the pause button right now. Well, not right now. Let me say what I got to say. Are you listening? Okay. After I say this, hit the pause button, go look at your bank account and go see if you're getting fees just for having a bank account with your institution. Okay. So hit pause. Now, if you had fees on your bank account, you need to find somewhere else to bank, or you need to call your bank and say, why am I paying these fees? Now, with some banks, I'll call them out, Bank of America, they will say, oh, well, you don't have at least $5,000 in this account. And if you don't have at least $5,000, we're going to charge you this fee. Go get a different account. Okay. Or consolidate so you have at least the $5,000. But there's no reason to be paying $5, $10 a month just to have access to your own money. And then the secondary thing is for fees. So what they're taking away, the secondary thing is, if you have money in the savings account, are you earning interest on that money? Okay. Brother Knight talked about the credit unions. A lot of credit unions offer certificates of deposit and other certificates and savings accounts and money market accounts where I'm seeing rates of 2%, 3%, and even 4%. Okay. Just imagine if you have $10,000 and it sits in an account for an entire year and it's earning 4%, that's $400 you get paid for the entire year just to have your money sit there. Okay. Those are the times we are in once again. When I started my career in banking in 1998, savings accounts were paying 5-6%. I haven't seen those numbers since then, but it looks like that time is coming around again. So make sure that you are looking at your banking relationship. And as Brother Knight said, are you getting value from that relationship, or are they trying to take something from you? And if they're taking something from you, there are plenty of other banks. Well, SVB is not around anymore, or Signature, but there's lots of others, hundreds, if not thousands of other banks that you can have potentially a better relationship with. And while we're talking about fees, let's talk about ATM fees. Okay. Look, let me give you guys a tip. Cash back is free in most places.
Yeah.
Okay. Meaning,
well,
go buy a bottle of water. It will do you more service than the $3 ATM fee, because most ATM fees, it's not only the fee that you pay to ATM machine, it's also the fee you pay your bank.
That's
so
true.
I've seen this. I'm looking at the transaction. I'm like, oh, you took $27 out of the ATM. I didn't take $27 out of the ATM. No, it says here $27. No, I just took 20. Well, no, you paid $3.50 to that ATM and you paid $3.50 to your bank. You paid $7. can we do the math on that real quick? 7 divided by 20. What is that? 40%?
Yep.
35% interest you paid to take $20 out of the ATM. Okay. When there's other ways that you can just be more planned. But sometimes, yeah, maybe it's emergency. You just need the $20. I cannot think the last time I had a $20 emergency and had to get it out of ATM. But maybe it's emergency. Okay. But sometimes it probably makes a little bit more sense to just buy a bottle of water and get the $20 cash back. So that those are ways that just in your banking relationship, you can help keep more of your money, because ultimately that's what this is about. So as you can see, I got on my soapbox. I need to step off because I need to talk to Brother Knight about this podcast and radio business, because he knows a lot more about it than I do, and I'm sure I can learn some things from him. So tell me, what is the can you kind of give us the state of the union of radio right now?
Well, the state of the union of radio is pretty much in a good place to where it was when I started back in the 90s. You have so many options when it comes to radio. You got a podcast, you got a video blog, you have Sirius XM. Back in my day when I first started, we had pretty much CDs, we had cassettes, we had DAT machines. I'm telling my age right now, but we have so many options, and it's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing because you have options now. A lot of people are like, okay, I'll get in a car, I can put on a podcast, or I can listen to Sirius XM. There was a time when you had to just drive, and God forbid you go outside state line or you go on that road trip, because you would be subjected to whatever radio station was in that area, the frequency of that station. Now you could just jump in and have Sirius XM. You can plug in your aux cord, you can have your own playlist, and it's all about keeping the attention of the listener. And regardless of all of the podcast and the Sirius XMs, I love local radio. Local radio will always be tried and true because it's more of a personal relationship. So if you're listening in your hometown or in your home state and you're driving around, you know exactly what's going on in your community. You know what's going on in your area because the person on the radio is giving you a play-by-play of what is affecting you at that moment in your community. There was a time when the radio is for the community. When you think about back in the day, like the Frankie Crockers and in Chicago, there was like Doug Banks, and you would have Herb Kent. These are the individuals that would keep us informed with what's going on in the community. When you think of Petey Green, back what was that, New York? You would like BLS back then. They were always giving the information of what is happening in the community to keep us informed, because there were times when there wasn't nothing out there for us. How could we keep the message going across from town to town on what was happening within the community? So that's why radio will always be, terrestrial radio will always have a place in my heart, because that's where it's at, regardless of your podcasting, regardless of your video blogs and your playlist. If you have somebody that knows what's going on and help keep you informed, you're good to go.
Man, I was just having flashbacks. So a little bit of my background. I got my early start in radio. Shout out to Power 98 WPEG in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's see, Mr. Incognito, if you're listening. Well, you're going to be now, because you're going to get tagged in this. You're like, what did he tag me in? Mr. Incognito allowed me and some of my good friends and my cousin to get on the radio late at night. We would come up to the radio station late on a, I don't know, Friday night or something, or it could have been during the week. I probably wasn't supposed to be out, but we would be at the radio station, climbing up this really narrow staircase to get into the booth and, do some programming, hop on, take some calls, do a little freestyle session, all that fun stuff back in the day. So we appreciate you, Mr. Incognito, and Artie, the one woman party. And
wow. You saying some familiar names.
Yeah, Artie, the one woman party. That was the homegirl. Man, who else was there? There was one other name. It's not coming to me. His real name was Brian. If you know who I'm talking about, Brian, what was his name? Easy Ice? No, was it Easy Ice? Is that what he called himself? I can't remember his name. There was one other DJ that was there that we learned of. And then when I started doing work with Def Jam, we were coming right back to Power 98, bringing the artists.
Yeah.
And then Power 98 moved to a nice little building in South Side, but we didn't go up that narrow staircase anymore. But I remember those days in radio. And it was actually, I thought I wanted to be a radio programmer in those days of high school. And when I first went to college, I was going to get a communication.
It's not too late.
Oh no, I'm cool now. I'm doing this finance gig. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I'll keep the podcast going and that's about it. But no, it was that was what I wanted. That is what I wanted. So no, radio. You're right. Radio is a lot more personal because I know it. When I get off the plane in Charlotte, I don't have to plug in the aux into that stuff. No, I'm just going to Power 98.
Yeah,
I know I'm gonna get the hits. Between that, or if I want to, figure out what's going on in the world, I can go to NPR anywhere in the country.
Exactly.
And go. It's somewhere between 88.1 and 91.0. I'm gonna find NPR in there somewhere. Yeah, there's a lot of this. There's a lot of artists, because NPR does the tiny desk.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of artists that I discovered on NPR. Yeah, National Public Radio, where they would get their little time to shine. I'm like, oh, this guy sounds good. Let me go check him out. And they're mainstream.
On a tiny desk, that's a great little series that they have.
Oh yeah, Indeed it is. So tell me, sir, as we start to wrap up here, I'm curious. When it comes to money, what does financial independence mean to you?
Financial independence means not having to worry about a thing. You can pay your bills, you can have food, and you can still have money to just relax, knowing that whatever is going on, you have that comfort and peace of mind that from a financial standpoint, you are taken care of. And I'm learning now how important to having financial, that liberty, because there is nothing like being in, me, I'm close to 50. And when you think about how you can save that nest egg for not only just you, but your family and the legacy that you're going to leave behind, just to have some sort of financial security is liberating because you don't have to necessarily worry about anything. They say money will end all your problems. Well, I would like to find out how many problems that I could get rid of if I had the money. And I think that it puts you in a better state of mind because when you think of how the economy is and when you think about us coming from the impoverished neighborhoods and we're not used to having that. And all we want to have is that American dream to be able to not only have that debt-free liberation, but also have the financial literacy and also the financial backing to say, all right, now I can actually live my life without having to worry about going to pay off a debt for a friend or worrying about the lights getting cut off or things of that nature. So that's where the liberty of financial literacy comes in.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. A wise man once shared with me is money, very simply, money is an options multiplier.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Definitely. You can do whatever you want when you got money.
That's it. Except paying off porn stars.
Yes,
the night of before an election, and then using campaign money to pay back the person you paid or whatever. However, I don't know. I'm not the attorneys in that whole thing. It's a mess. So let's recap. Oh, before we recap, almost forgot, sir. I did tell a few places where the people can find you, but you tell the people, where can they find you if they want to hear more of your beautiful radio voice?
Oh, well, you can check me out Monday through Friday on KHAJ FM Magic 107.7 in Topeka, Kansas. But if you want more of a podcast feel, a podcast vibe, you can check out the Shawn Knight Show podcast featuring Tales from the Boombox. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube. You can check it out anywhere. Just drop me in the Google section. Subscribe, follow, be a friend, social media, Shawn Knight Media on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Be a friend. Let's connect.
Let's do it. And we'll put all the links in the show notes so you'll have them there, because I'm looking forward to, I'm just going to invite myself to the Shawn Knight podcast. That's got to happen
absolutely.
soon.
Because
We got to have some boombox conversations. I got a boombox.
Yeah, because we're actually celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And
Yes.
I'm actually digging in the crates right now, pull out some classic interviews that I did with some hip hop icons like Snoop Dogg and Roxanne Shante, Dana Dane, and much more. So it's going to be fun. And plus, I got new artists coming in as well. So this will be pretty cool to have you come on and we could talk about hip hop from back in the day and how much of an impact it has made in your life. So yes, look for that collaboration real soon.
Let's get it. So let's take a quick recap. What have we learned today? We've learned that eventually you will probably get caught if you do some shady stuff with your money. Yes. So don't do that. We learned that sometimes banks fail. It happens. Not all banks are going to stay in business, but just because a bank fails doesn't necessarily mean that you have to fail. Okay, there are rules that are put in place to help protect you. If you are one of those individuals that is above that limit, make sure you find ways to spread your money out a bit. We also talked about moving your money away from a bank if they are causing you financial harm. There's no reason to have to pay $5 just to have a savings account. Get a different savings account or get a different bank. We also talked about the value of a dollar and inflation. Like I said, we have lots of episodes about inflation. We didn't spend too much time on it, but it is one of our biggest enemies that we will face with our dollars. And then, of course, we talked about financial independence. And that's something I challenge all of you to do as listeners and viewers here on YouTube. Define what your financial independence is, because it's different for each and every one of you. Some people, they want to, have a house or a farm or whatever it is, or some people are very content renting. It really depends on you and what you want. Figure out what financial independence means for you and start to put a plan together so that you can find that financial independence in your lifetime. Or as Shawn said, see how many problems you can solve with a whole big old stack of money. Because believe me, it can solve some problems. So, of course, we have some future episodes coming up with a lot of powerful guests I'm really excited to be able to visit with. We're also going to be pulling some guests out from season 1 because, yes, we are in – what season are we in? Is this season 4? Let's see, 2020, 2021, 20. We are in season 4. I probably said that a couple episodes ago, but I forgot. And we are approaching our 10,000th download. Matter of fact, it might happen on this show right here. So hopefully you're number 10,000. Hopefully you are number 10,000. I know next step is 100,000. We're going to get there. And this season, we will hit 100 episodes. Man, we've been out here, y'all, talking about this money, helping people build more financial literacy, and it's so fun to do. So again, I'm Yohance Harrison with the Money Strip Podcast. I appreciate you tuning in. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Script Podcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes, subscribe, follow, and give us 5 stars. Continue to send your financial questions on Twitter or Instagram at The Money Script. Go to moneyscriptwealth.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your specific goals and concerns. Financial advisory and investment management services are offered by Money Script Wealth Management PLLC, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Texas and California and other states where exempt. The Money Script LLC and the Money Script Wealth Management PLLC and guests of the episode may have interest in the investments mentioned today. The opinions and views are expressed here are for informational purposes only. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation for any specific product or service. All investments involve risk and a significant loss of principal. The Money Script nor Money Script Wealth Management offer tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney for specific advice about your situation. Until next time.